Hi everyone, welcome to this Transformation Tribe talk with Shahida Latif-Haider, who is a colleague of mine and a friend. We've gotten to know each other now for about 5 years, been working together, and Shahida is the executive lead for transformation.
It's all the interesting bits. So it's HR, it's people, it's IT, it's comms, it's transformation. Basically, all the elements of an operating model.
Brilliant.
So
big job.
Yeah, lovely job. Complicated, complex, messy, can be uncomfortable, but I'd say it's so rewarding.
Good.
So my background was finance, so I was working this out. I have spent 25, nearly 30 years actually doing finance. So my background's chartered accountant. So I came to transformation quite late, so I'm a relative newbie, 5 years. But actually I found my niche.
Good.
This is my passion. And when you get transformation right, it is so rewarding. I would never go back to finance. Transformation is, I just love doing it. And when you see the impact on our customers, I work for a social landlord in South Manchester. We've got roughly about 20,000 customers that we support, all based in Wythenshawe, 14,000 properties. So we've got about 500 colleagues. So anything we can do to make their experience so much better, how is that not rewarding?
Yeah, brilliant. I've been on the journey with you on and off since the start, really.
Yes.
So 5 years ago, just winding the clock back, you'd got a new CEO who's a mutual contact of ours, and he passed the baton on to you for business transformation. And we started having conversations because at the time it was quite new turf for you. And that's when it all began. And it was sort of thinking about how we could help this business with its transformation program, how you could upskill your teams and build that organizational capability. And one of the reasons I'm so pleased that you're talking today on this chat is you're very senior. Not only have you got your role here at Wythenshawe, you're on lots of boards as well. You're a very busy lady, and your openness about never being too experienced to learn and being really open-minded is so refreshing, because a lot of people have too big an ego and just can't accept that. So going back to the start, when we first met, it's really important to you to get a data. You wanted the data. I don't know if that's your finance background kicking in, but you really wanted the data and insight to understand.
It was
starting point.
Yeah, I suppose the starting point for us in terms of our transformation journey was understanding what that vision needed to be. And to get that vision, we needed clarity. So it was understand more about us as an organisation, understanding our customers, understanding our properties. And I always go back to when we first started working together. It was one of your things, you need that macro and micro understanding and bringing it all together, and that data. So our big question for us right at the beginning was, do we have the right data to make good decisions? And what we realized quite early on was we had data. I wouldn't say it was good data, I wouldn't say it was complete data, lots of different systems. And when we were making decisions, I think the thing that got me was we were using data in a binary way, very one-dimensional. Humans aren't one-dimensional or two-dimensional. So for us, what we wanted to get to was a single view position, but to be able to make decisions based on our assets, our homes, our customers, our people, the organisation, the sector, but bringing all of that together in one place. So that was our commitment to the organisation. How do we get to a platform where all of that information and data is in one place? But it doesn't just stop at data, because at the end of the day, you can have great systems and you can have great data. It's your people. It's your people need to be able to use that data analyze it, understand what that data is telling them to actually deliver the outcomes that we need them to deliver. So we can to move not just from data, but looking at the culture of the organisation as well and our people.
Yeah, because that was a big part. So just to touch on that single view report that it was actually, and that was quite a chunk of time that you invested up front to get that understanding in that platform. And you like to go fast. You like things to be done yesterday, but you were really keen to take the time to understand that before you sort of press go.
Yeah.
And that when we talk about macro, it had analysis of the market, political influence, what was going on at a really high level, a national level. And then when we talk about micro, it was really understanding your people, your processes, your technology, your ability to innovate, and your customers. And that all came together in a document, really, wasn't it? That I think you took to your board, but it also helped to advise where you could create capacity, because I think it's important in transformation. Everybody tries to take on the world, don't they?
Yeah.
And people fail when they try and do that, because it's kind of, we've got all this business as usual stuff, we've got all this new stuff coming in, everybody gets change fatigue and worn out really quickly. So that data helped prioritize and show.
And that's the point. It was a fantastic document, and that was a document that you created for us, but it was the only document we had at the time that pulled all of that information together, so we didn't have to go to lots of different places. It helped us to focus, it helped us to prioritize, and it was, because transformation, you need to lead it from the top, as well as making sure that you've got buy-in, and the benefits of transformation needs to resonate with all the key stakeholders. The decision is going to be made at the top, your board. It's going to be led by your senior management team. So that report was the evidence of where we needed to be stronger, where our opportunities were, because I don't like to talk about threats and weaknesses, park that to one side, but it's where we could improve, where we could make the customer experience better, and how we could strengthen as an organisation, strengthen our organisational resilience or capacity, because you're right, we can't do everything much as we'd like to. So that was our first step to understanding, getting that clarity, and then using it to focus on, okay, what were the 2 or 3 things we wanted to focus on and put all of our effort in.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm just going to say, there is a beeping noise going on outside, because we are actually in your offices, and you're building literally across the car park. So there's a window in front of us, and if you look out of that window, you're actually building how many?
14 apartments just across. So that's part of our development aspirations, and working towards the government's new homes target, as supporting, enabling the community to thrive. It's also about creating new homes, because there's a massive demand.
Yeah, and it's right on your doorstep. So they've got access to your customers.
Yeah. But we work quite well in terms of all of our stock. I'd say 99.9% of our stock is on our doorstep. Yeah, fantastic. So that's our USP.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fantastic. So going back to organisational capability, and one of the things I really liked about your approach is you weren't bringing in teams of consultants to do it for you. You were very clear from the outset that you wanted to build that internal capability.
Yes.
And grow the bench strength of your internal team so they could move on and do more of this themselves. Just tell us a bit about your thinking behind that and why you were so passionate about that.
You want good leadership from the top to be able to deliver transformation, and that needs to feel authentic, otherwise you won't get that buy-in. And leadership needs to be strong, because there will be some uncomfortable and difficult decisions to make. And I love learning, like I said, transformation over the last 5 years for me. So I've learned a lot over those 5 years. And I've learned so much from you, Sarah. It was very much about making sure that with our senior management team, taking them up a gear. So we put all of them through a senior leadership development program right at the start, because we knew that they were going to lead transformation. Transformation isn't one person, you need a team. And we wanted for that team to build trust, to break silos, and to make that group work as a group rather than lots of different people, so that they could then drive transformation forward. So that was our first thing that we did. And then what we've also done is start thinking about every time we go into a different team for transformation, we do a bit of change readiness.
Yeah.
So making sure that we're aware of where that group is in terms of their appetite, their thinking, and then we assess that and then we tailor our approach to that team. So there's lots of great things that we are doing and can do to make sure that we take the right approach.
Yeah. And on the way in, it was great to see Rachel as I was coming up the stairs this morning. Just tell a little bit, explain, because your HR teams, as you're going through transformation, your people teams and your HR teams have to shift as well, because they're accommodating and supporting people to work differently. What observations or what interventions did you support them to put in place so they could be really effective to support the business in its transformation?
I think it's very important that you allow the teams themselves to develop. So I've got a great team, but they're an empowered team. I'm there to help them to remove any barriers and blockages. But I love seeing those teams develop and make mistakes. So with the people team, it was very much about, okay, so where do you see, in terms of thinking about the operating model for the organization, thinking about transformation, not just as a program of work, but as a changing mindset for the organization. So what does that mean about helping our colleagues to move into that cultural mindset? How do we recruit people with the right mindset? And how do we encourage people to go back to your point about lifelong learning? So understanding what your skills are, thinking about where you want to be going forward, and then how do we help you as colleagues in terms of, with the training package. So we did a bit of a skills gap piece, and that was quite important. And going forward, we know that the roles we're going to need going forward, technology changes all the time. The ways of working change all the time. So, and I think the term is, there are some roles that we're going to term as sunset roles. They're not going to be there in the future, but then there's other roles, sunrise roles, that we will need. But how do we strategically fill that gap? Upskilling.
And they're quite difficult conversations to have with people sometimes, aren't they? So when you're talking about a sunset role and typically you've got quite a long-serving workforce here, that can be quite scary for people if it's not managed in the right way, because people get worried that, oh, what does that mean for me? Does it mean that my job's at risk? Does it mean that I don't have a place here anymore? And of course, you need those people to help you with your transformation program. How have you gone about making sure that those people remain engaged and remain positive and come with you on the journey rather than sort of pull against it and fear change?
You're always going to need your champions, and you're always going to need some colleagues who are your corporate memory. They're the ones who pull the rest of the team in. So it's understanding who those key people are within your team. But, and I'm going to say this, which could be quite blunt, is there are some people within those teams that they're mood hoovers. They take, they're not colleagues that you want in those teams. So actually, it's about having some of those open conversations, being quite transparent, and the changes you can see within teams when those people leave is just immense. And that's when you realize actually how much of a detractor they were. Not many people talk about that, but it's just as important as keeping the people that you need on side.
And it's one of the things I admire about you. You really led from the front throughout, and you've never been afraid of having a pragmatic conversation, but you've done it with the values at the heart of it. You've done it in the right way, very respectfully, also very honestly, so people have been able to make informed choices about what's next for them rather than you forcing it, which I think is fantastic. Okay, so big journey, 5 years. Let's talk about some of the awards you've won recently on the back of this, because you have, as a business, come out of the other side. So let's talk about some of the awards first, so people can really understand the impact that this transformation program's had.
Okay, and this is the organisation's award, because this is everyone's contributed to that. So we recently had the Housing Technology Award for our transformation journey to date, and that is an amazing accolade, I think, for all the work that the BAs and the project managers and the teams that have been working within those phases. So it's a great thank you to those colleagues. We also, last year, we had Employer of the Year.
Brilliant.
And also the excellence in company culture. Transformation isn't a quick journey. No. It's like you said, 5 years. So we took quite a long time to actually get the why, making sure that we all got it. And how could we, explain it to every level of the organisation so that everyone understood what the benefit to them would be, and customers. But to actually start to see some of those awards coming through is just fantastic, and it means so much to our colleagues to be able to see that, Employer of the Year. And our employer net promoter score at the moment is a plus 44. And that, we've seen that increase year on year. It was much lower when we started to make those changes. So it shows that we're on the right direction.
Yeah. And again, you just drop these things in now, like employee net promoter. It's just the way you do things. But all these things were new. If you look back at everything you've done, the way the engagement, the colleague communication, the external communication, big IT system changes, looking at terms and conditions, reward and recognition, reshaping PMO teams, upskilling. It's just endless. So many components have gone to contribute to this. And it is fantastic to see. I see on LinkedIn, see Wythenshawe Community Housing Group getting awards now. And that absolutely validates the path was right.
Yes.
The hard work's paid off.
Yeah.
And everybody that's been on that learning curve with you is starting to experience firsthand the part they've played in that.
Yeah.
Which you can't ask for more than that.
It justifies that, because it's a pathway, a journey, and that will carry on going. So it's not just a project with a start and an end date. It encourages people that haven't yet joined on that journey to join. It's that tipping point, isn't it? And I think we've got past that tipping point.
No, it's brilliant.
Within Wythenshawe Community. So it's a great place. The culture is amazing at the organisation, and you can see that just coming into the organisation. Where some organisations struggle to get colleagues back in, we've got a full car park.
Well, it's just today. So I pulled up, had some filming kit in my car. I know a lot of the people here. I don't know everybody. And there was a lady in the car park, and I just said, "Can you help me?" She's like, "Yeah, sure. Let me do this. Let me do that." She's helped me bring things upstairs. We've never met before. And it's just like, "Oh, what are you doing today?" Really excited, genuinely interested in what we're going to be talking about. And it's just very positive energy when you walk into the building.
Yes.
It's just a great vibe.
And that helps then in terms of talent recruitment.
Yeah.
We're able to promote the right culture, and word of mouth is another thing.
Absolutely.
So we have a lot of our colleagues, about 38% of our colleagues live within the area. And again, that's part of our USP, because our colleagues understand the community that we work in. So it's about
powerful stuff.
It's all of these awards, the culture. It certainly helps in our recruitment, which is, our attraction, our reach is so much better than it was years ago.
Brilliant. So, not all positives though. This is you are a very positive person. You're a very calm person. I consider you to be an optimist. You would sooner see the good in people and give people an opportunity rather than default to a negative. which is why I enjoy working with you so much. But you're going to have had highs and lows. So tell us about some of the lows and then tell us about some of the highs.
Some of the lows, I wouldn't say they're lows, but they've certainly been lessons for me. And I love learning. But it's like you said, we're quite fast paced, aren't we?
Very.
And not everyone works on that
No.
pace. And it's that acknowledgement and recognition. And also, whilst it pains me sometimes, it's that sort of, sometimes you have to slow down, sometimes you have to stop, sometimes you have to revisit what you've done or replay what you've decided. And that's okay. Sometimes it's the right thing to do, because you can't bulldoze transformational change within an organization. You can't expect colleagues to feel safe and energized when you force something through at a pace that doesn't work for them. So that's probably been my biggest learning.
Yeah, and I can see the change in you, because you go back to when we would first meet and be like, right, we'll get this here, we'll get this report here, we'll tell these people this, then we'll get started. And then how long do you need? Can it be done in 3 months? I need a bit of that though.
Yeah, my teams, they know. They don't give me a date now, because as soon as they give me a date, I'm a stickler for, right, okay, you said September, we're going for September. This is a collective piece of work that we're doing.
Yeah. Getting the 80% of people sort of going with the flow at a comfortable rate, that 80% are going with you, and you kind of can move forward together with pace, but not, as you say, racing at it and leaving people behind.
Yeah, because you mentioned change fatigue. That wasn't even a thing years ago, but it's a valid thing in terms of the organisation, in terms of our colleagues. So it's being respectful.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's like I said, you could have great systems, great data, but if you don't have your people capacity, you're not going to be able to deliver the best.
No, and it's that vision. We talked earlier on about a previous Transformation Tribe talk with Gareth Capel, and a lot of that is around visualization, and there's a lot of studies that have been done to support that. So there's data that actually proves that visualizing things, getting people to visualize things collectively, can help you achieve greater impact together.
Yes.
And it's having that time for everybody to catch up with that visualization and get on the same page and work together.
It was a really good podcast, that one, actually, with Gareth, because I didn't realize, I visualize, sort of where we're going to be in 12 months' time, where we're going to be in 2 years' time, and that's what I'm focused on. But I didn't realize the science behind it. But there is something else to just consider. Not everyone can visualize. So one of the things that we did as part of our leadership development was just get a feeling for where all of us in the leadership team were in terms of that adapter and innovator level, because you will have some colleagues who are great at visualizing, not great at the doing. But then there are others who can't really visualize, but if you show them on a piece of paper, or if you show them in terms of a proof of concept, then they see it and then they can deliver it. So it's making sure you've got that balance.
And you need time, then goes back to the time thing, to catch everybody up and give people that space to try and get on the same page.
And also, it's we'll make mistakes.
Yeah.
So sometimes we'll end up having to rewind and sort of say, right, okay, we tried that, didn't quite work. That's okay. And we will now shift gear and do something else, or go in a different pathway. And I think too many organisations or too many cultures view that as a weakness, but actually it's an opportunity in terms of, actually, for one, you're able to test things, you're able to make mistakes, you're able to learn from those mistakes and use your learnings to do something better. And also is that thing about sort of fail fast and move on.
Yeah, fail fast and move on, and having that freedom to fail without feeling like you've been judged or, you know, people don't think you're doing a good enough job. It's having that freedom to fail, and that's one of the things you absolutely led by example with that as a senior role model and figure within the organisation. You were really open and honest about, okay, I haven't got all the answers, we haven't got all the answers, we're going to get there together, and being okay with that pausing or that reflection and changing course, which I think is very powerful, and it's quite unique because a lot of people, they expect, right, we start and we finish and it's going to go in a linear flow. And of course, nothing in life is in a linear flow, and you have to, you know, it's very volatile at the climate that we operate in now, locally and globally. So to think that things are going to neatly go along a Gantt chart is a fallacy.
Things change. You could have an excellent roadmap set, you know, for the organisation or for your team, and things drop out of nowhere. You've got to be adaptable, and that's where it comes back to that your own resilience, your team's resilience, and your organisation's resilience, because that uncertainty is probably the one certain thing you know is going to happen. Things will keep happening. That's okay. That's what makes it exciting and interesting.
That's good. So you've talked about your learning opportunities. What were the best bits for you? What have you really, really enjoyed doing as part of this transformation?
The best bits are the satisfaction you get. So we've launched a new platform. We use Salesforce, so that's our platform, and that's going to help with making sure all of our data is in one place and accessible. So when you hear colleagues who have been a part of designing the new process and then they're using it and saying things like, oh my God, this is so much better, I can now sleep at night. And that's such a powerful statement for somebody else to listen to. When customers are saying this is so much easier.
That's what you're doing it for,
That's exactly it. We're looking at making sure all of our processes, the ones that are being reviewed, we can take out, you know, any duplication, any waste work. So we're simplifying to make sure that the experience for our colleagues, the experience for our customers is simpler, it's more responsive. But I think the biggest thing for me, and the one that I'm most pleased for, is the culture change within the organisation, and just getting people just thinking that transformation isn't this piece of work that is going to start at this point. In 2 years we'll finish and it'll probably be something else. It's having changed that mindset with colleagues that this is how we work now.
Really impactful and really positive, and as we've talked about, it's being noted. You are getting those awards, you are attracting the right talent, your customers are happier, your employees, your colleagues are all happier. It is all the boxes and all the indicators are all going green and pointing in the right direction, which
we're
is
getting
fabulous.
There. It's, you know, I wouldn't say any organisation has got this right. You keep working on it. So it's just a great journey to be on, and to be. This was a great opportunity that I was given by Nick, who we both know, who I had no experience in transformation. So I did think at the time, I thought, I don't understand his thinking in terms of why me. I'm one of those where opportunities come your way, grab them with both hands. And I did. I've learned so much. It's so rewarding, so exciting. And you actually, you know, when you can feel you're able to influence big change for the organisation and for your customers, I don't think there's any bigger reward or
fulfilling.
satisfaction.
Really fulfilling. And what's next for you? Your vision. So this has been a 5-year journey, for want of a better word, for you. Obviously, you've got loads going on, building things, homes all over the place. big ambitions as a business. What's next for you on the horizon?
The coming next, I'd say in the short term, is our assets and repairs and maintenance. So that's our biggest next phase, and that's a huge piece of work that will be moving over to Salesforce. I think the next exciting thing for me is data and AI. So whether it's generative AI, whether it's agentic, it's for me, I'm just doing as much as I can. And my IT director hates it. He keeps trying to pull me back, and I'm running way ahead with AI. But it's how do we use AI to help us with having a service that's more predictive, more proactive rather than a reactive, having asset data, having data on our customers who are using our assets, and how do we refine those insights so that we can actually ensure that we can we've got a more effective asset management strategy, responding to repairs before they're even highlighted by our customers. So that's the exciting thing. That's the one I'd like to get into. And then I think from a people side, it's how do we strategically now start to think about the roles I was talking about, the sunrise roles, where the gaps are within the organisation, and how do we start to bridge that gap?
Understanding that's really critical piece of work, isn't it?
Yes. Those are probably the three. There's lots of other things that were going on.
Exciting
there always
time.
is.
Brilliant. And you're a very open person. You're out and about. You're speaking at conferences. You attend conferences. You are always attending sort of innovation events and things to learn more. If people are watching this and they'd be interested in reaching out to you, you're open to people saying, yeah, come and have a chat, see what we did.
It's absolutely.
Yeah.
I am absolutely love to have a chat. You know, we talk about transformation, we talk about innovation, but actually we're all doing the same thing, certainly in the sectors
In the housing sector.
In the housing sector, you know, we all maintain properties, we all respond to our customers, we provide a service. So the more we can collaborate, the more we can support each other, the more we can provide that, you know, excellent but consistent service to our customers. That then, by sharing and collaborating, we can then, you know, we've got the capacity then to work on, you know, providing a more tailored for those customers that need that additional support. So yes. Yeah.
So an open invite from Shahida. So if you've got any comments on what you've heard, please make comments in the chat beneath. Like and subscribe to this channel, and Shahida's details will be there, and there'll be some other links for you to follow and download if you want some more information. And an open invite for collaboration, which is absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Should we do a cheers?
We should.
Let's do a cheers.
Cheers.
There you go. Thanks very much.